Hey, I'm Jade Keogh.
And hello from me too, I'm Grace Seeley.
We both play for the Millwall Lionesses and are sponsored by the No One Likes Us talking team.
Why not sponsor one of our teammates just like they do?
To find out how, just email
kwebster@millwallcommunity.org.uk.
I'll say that again.
kwebster@millwallcommunity.org.uk.
In your email, say who you want to sponsor and we'll get back to you with the sponsorship details and what to do next.
This is all you have to do and it will help us to get back to where we belong. Thank you guys.
Now, enjoy our Millwall fan show from No One Likes Us talking team.
Come on, Mir.
Hi, Bethany Warren here, and you've joined us for the weekly Our Millwall fan show with the Millwall No One Likes Us talking team, which is broadcast every Friday evening. Enjoy!
It's February and the transfer window is closed, but what does that mean for us? I'm your host, Eamonn Barclay, and I have the No One Likes Us talking team of Dave Hart, Ted Robinson, and that former Lion, Phil Coleman.
Not everybody likes them, but they don't care.
Evening, Dave, Ted, and Phil. How's it going?
Evening, Eamonn. All good here, thanks.
Evening, Eamonn. All good here.
Yep, same with me. Thanks, Eamonn.
It's nice to know that you're all good. You must be behaving yourself very well.
Yeah.
It was a quiet weekend for Millwall fans, unless you were following the minor sides, and we'll hear about them later. We have former Lion Phil Coleman on the panel tonight, and he was one of those rare Millwall players to win an FA Youth Cup medal. And in his season, it was 1978-79, which will be celebrated this season. Tell us how that's going to be celebrated, Phil.
Thanks, Eamonn. Good old Chris Bethel does an amazing job, and we were due to have a Dockers Day in the period that got cancelled because of the COVID lockdown.
Yeah.
So fair play to Chris. He set up the next Dockers Day on Saturday, the 18th of March, for the Huddersfield game. And this year, as well as the Dockers that have supported the club, he's got my FA Youth Cup winning team coming back. We're due at the ground at 11 o'clock and we'll be introduced to the crowd. I'm certainly going, and hopefully all of my teammates will be there. We'll be talking about old times. That's Peter Glazier, Dave Martin, Paul Robinson, Paul Roberts, Ian Gale, Dave Memmott, Tony Kinsella, Chris Dibble, Kevin O'Callaghan, Alan McKenna, Andy Massey, and the players that didn't actually play in the first team but were in that squad: John Helps, Dave Hockaday, Tony Dark, and never forgetting Dean Horrocks. I've done some homework on the team, and I know the book was written, Ordinary Boys, but that squad of players, youngsters, it's just nearly 1,000 league games between us. So hopefully all the lads will turn up on that Saturday for the Huddersfield game. We'll have a great get-together. We actually had a get-together a few years ago. I think Chris did a Dockers Day in about 2014 or something like that. And we just talked about old times, talked about the big characters that looked after us, like John Jackson and Barry Kitchener. So it should be a good day. And if fans are about, we'll be in the club, but obviously outside by the bus and on the pitch being presented to the fans before the game. So that's the plan, and I'm thoroughly looking forward to it. I'm a Millwall fan anyway, but to have my teammates from that era coming back, I can't wait.
No, that'd be lovely for you. And Pat Maslin says what a wonderful job old Chris Bethel does in so many dimensions. So I can appreciate your thoughts on that. Anyway, we'll take a break there and be back with our first guest this evening. But for now, let's listen to Debbie Julians talking about our sponsor, G&M Motors.
Our Millwall fan show is sponsored by family business G&M Motors of Gravesend and Meopham in Kent. They are Millwall fans too. They've been Honda dealers for over 50 years. At G&M Motors Gravesend, you can purchase a new Honda. At both Gravesend and Meopham, they have a combined range of over 150 quality used cars and ex-demonstrators to suit all budgets and lifestyles. They also offer a comprehensive range of repair and maintenance services to ensure your vehicle stays reliable, safe, and retains a higher value with trust. G&M Motors, Gravesend and Meopham are dear friends of the Julians family. From Lenny to Debbie, and also our Millwall fan show.
I'm your host, Eamonn Barclay, and with me I have the No One Likes Us talking team of Dave Hart, Ted Robinson and former Lion Phil Coleman. Many thanks to our sponsors G&M Motors of Gravesend and Makem. Thank you. I'm your host, Eamonn Barclay, and with me I have the No One Likes Us talking team of Dave Hart, Ted Robinson and former Lion Phil Coleman. Many thanks to our sponsors G&M Motors of Gravesend and Meopham. Our first guest was a Northern Ireland international who is fondly remembered by the Celtic faithful for his part in the team which won the league and cup double in the club's centenary season. He's a Belfast boy who was brought up on Irish football, Gaelic football and the fastest ball game in the world, hurling. He joined us on a free transfer, signing from Oxford United on the 11th of August 1995. And he went on to make 40 appearances for us. I think it might be 41 actually. But anyhow, the majority came in the following season when he also chipped in with 8 goals. 8 goals, that was his career best season. He then left us on a free to join Blackpool in July 1997. He also played for Sunderland too, so timing is spot on. Let's say hello to Anton Rogan. Hello, Anton.
Hello, Eamonn. How you doing?
I'm doing okay, and the others will be okay as well, I'm sure.
Good evening, lads.
Evening, Anton.
There you go. They're answering you. That's not bad. Sometimes they forget. Before I let the panel chat with you, I'm just fascinated. Why did you choose football instead of Gaelic football or hurling? And as I recollect, you had quite some success as a young GAA player.
Yes, Eamonn, I did indeed. I had a lot of success as a young GAA player, and I thoroughly enjoyed both games, the football and the hurling.
Yeah.
But the soccer sort of, well, you call it soccer in some parts of Belfast, but the football sort of started really young in Belfast for me. I started playing football when I was 6, 7, you know, and I loved it and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And then, as I say, at our schools, we were pushed more to play toward the Gaelic games.
Yes.
So I took them up as well, and the three of them for me just went hand in hand. I just loved all three of them and had a great time. I was quite lucky I could do all 3 sports at once, if you understand, so it was brilliant.
Yeah. Well, it's not bad, and I mean they let one of our famous footballers have a bit of that. He never played either, but somehow he won the radio television Bannister of some sort of Gaelic football team. So how he did that, old Tony Cascarino, I'll never know.
Fair play to Big Cass. Yep.
You played with him at Celtic, didn't you?
I did. I played with Cass for only a few months at Celtic, and then I left and went to Sunderland. But he's a lovely lad. I had a great time with him, even though I was only 3 months with him. But he's such a nice lad. I thoroughly enjoyed his.
We think so too.
Everything about him, he was really nice.
Yes. I'll hand you over to Dave.
No problem.
Evening, Anton.
Hello, Dave.
Are you all right, mate? Okay, I'll kick it all off. You joined us from Oxford United on a free transfer.
Yeah.
How did that come about? And were there other options you had at the time? And if there were, why did you pick us?
Well, Dave, the issue I had at Oxford United, I had a really great first season, and just towards the end of it, I think we were playing Chelsea in the cup game at the Manor, and I was doing the warm-up, and I never usually get injured that much. Of my injuries were all sort of broken bones and stitches. I never really done hamstrings or stuff like that, you know. But I was warming up, and I felt this little twinge in my hamstring, and I thought, well, I don't really know what it was because I never had experienced anything like that before. So after the warm-up, I went in, had the little dressing down before we went back out on the pitch, and I went out with my hamstring sore, and the first ball I went for, Dave, I just run and it just snapped. And there was a 10mm tear right in the middle of my hamstring, you know. So that sort of put my career on the blocks for, I think I was out 9-10 months with it, Dave, you know. And it basically was found it hard to get up and running again after that, you know. And then my contract was up at the end of that year. And to be fair, Mick was on the phone and asked what was I doing. I said, look, Mick, I've had this injury and I've been struggling a bit with it. He says, well, come down, we'll have a look. And then all of a sudden it was brilliant to sign, Dave, you know, and that was it.
Yeah, good news.
Hi, Anton, Ted here.
Hello.
Hello, Anton, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yep, sorry.
Hello, mate. That first season you joined us, and on that opportunities were limited a bit for you, but we had quite a lot of talent with us under the management of Mr. McCarthy. And I think we thought we'd returned to the promised land, but what happened on the take? What was your take on our monumental slide towards relegation in the second part of the season? Because it all went so well in the first half, and all of a sudden, as good as we was bad.
Dave, you know, I've been in the game for quite a long time, and I've witnessed a lot of things, but I must admit that was hard to take in. What happened that season, you know, it was just, as you say, it was a monumental slide, and I don't think any of us were expecting it, to be honest, mate. You know, it just seemed to hit us and knock us out for a bit, you know, and then trying to crawl our way back was hard because we started losing games, and then all of a sudden we were just slipping down further and further and further, and you could see the pressure was getting to everyone, Dave. Do you know, son? It was just, I think it was one of them events that happened and hopefully will never happen again. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. I don't want to see it at Millwall again.
No, as I'm saying, but for that to happen anywhere, Dave, would be strange to happen again, do you know, because it was very rarely seen something like that, you know, in football anyway.
Hi, Anton. Phil here.
Hello, Phil. How you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, you?
All good, thank you.
Yeah, totally agree with you on Tony Cascarino. What a top bloke he is. I had the pleasure of having a season playing beside him. And, yeah, good player and great bloke.
And, you know, I'd never seen anybody can head a ball like Big Cass.
Absolutely. He was a unit as well. Yeah.
I've never seen anybody head a ball like him ever in my life, and he was fantastic at it. Fair play to him.
And I don't know whether you agree, but I had the pleasure of sprinting next to him, and he could shift as well. People can't believe that. He was really quite quick when he got going.
He was very deceiving, wasn't he? To be honest, you know.
Yeah.
He looked so lumbered when he was running, but as you say, Christ, he could move the boy, couldn't he?
Definitely. Anton, you had a great career. Hopefully, we got this right. Starting Northern Ireland side Distillery, Celtic, Sunderland, Oxford, Millwall, Blackpool, 18 caps at Northern Ireland.
Yes.
In your playing time at Celtic and Sunderland, you had two players there in Mick McCarthy and Jimmy Nicholl. What were your experiences playing against them, and how did you find them as managers later on?
Well, to be fair, with Big Mick, myself and Mick were lucky enough to play in the centenary year in 1988. You know, we were sort of a big part of that, and as you say, it was a great event for us in them days, you know, to do that sort of thing. And little Jimmy on the other side, to be fair, I played against him a few times. Obviously, I was left back and he was right back. So I came across Jimmy a couple of times at Parkhead and at Ibrox, you know, and he was such a nice lad. I've always had a lot of goodwill for Jimmy. You know, he's such a lovely man.
Hi, Anton, it's Dave again.
Hello, Dave. Yep.
When you first came to us, one of the teams you faced at the beginning was Sunderland at the Den, and we lost 2-1. And away fixtures at Sunderland had often seen us get beat quite heavily, you know, 6-2 in 92, and you actually played for the Black Cats, and Mick McCarthy was playing for us. But the fixture that we returned our biggest defeat, losing to Villarreal in the Second World War, come in the away trip to Sunderland that year, and they put 6 goals past us, and we didn't have any reply to that. You played that day. Do you remember that game? Our last one at Roker Park?
It was indeed. I remember it as clear as day because obviously that was the first time I'd seen Mick, obviously, since I left Celtic, you know, and Mick went elsewhere as well, you know. So it was actually nice to see Mick getting off the bus, and we had a little chat before the game. And then obviously things went a bit better for me that day than they did Mick, you know. But obviously even after the match, Dave, we went in, had a couple of beers in the lounge and had a little chat about the old days and how good it was and all that, you know.
Yeah. Yeah,
And as I say, I had always a lot of time for Mick. Myself and Mick always got on really well, do you know?
yeah. I can remember the following season. We was at home to Stockport, and we lost 4-3, and you scored 2 goals that day. Do you remember that game?
I remember. Do you know something, Dave? I remember all the goals I scored actually, because as I say, that was my best goal scoring season. Do you know? And I thoroughly enjoyed it. I loved every minute of it. Do you know? And I
Right.
for to Eamonn last night for some strange reason. I ended up taking the penalties, you know, and I mentioned it to Eamonn last night that the first penalties I took against Blackpool was the first penalties I'd taken since 1990, when the goalkeeper saved my penalty in the Scottish Cup final in sudden death, you know. So the day I took the night I took the penalties again, the day and that night, the first one was awarded, and I could see everybody looking around the pitch, looking, well, who fancies this? And it didn't look anybody fancied it, and for some strange reason, I happened to glance over the dugout, and I seen Jimmy look at me, and he looked at me as if to say, "Right, you better go and take this." So off I went, and as I say, that was the first penalty I took since I missed one in the Scottish Cup final in 1990. But it gave me a little bit of hope back, you know, and then obviously I got another one the same night, so it was great. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Great stuff.
Anton, what about that time that the game that you were in for us under Mick, and we lost 6-0 to Sunderland up there? What about that?
Yeah, that's right. Well, I never played anyway, you know, so
Right.
I got away with one there, Eamonn, you know.
Yeah, he was just sitting there admiring the
Oh, no.
last sight of Roker Park.
Well, as I say, it's a lovely football stadium, as you know. It was always one of them stadiums where the atmosphere was always fantastic,
Yeah.
no matter who turned up there, you know.
Anton, you obviously
Hello,
played
Ted.
in the. Hello, mate. All right. You played a few games in the old, which is probably the biggest derby in the world, Celtic and Rangers. Now, I think you might hold a little record, mate. Of I don't know whether I should be saying this to you, but I think you give away 3 penalties in games against Rangers, didn't you?
No, only I give away 2.
You sure? I looked it
Yeah.
up today and it said 3.
Oh, no, 2.
I'll give you that one, all right. But
Oh, no,
so you're not quite there as the record holder. But what was it like playing in them games, though?
they were great
And I
games.
know you was involved in I think it was your first one where you was involved with the winning goal, weren't you?
Yeah. Well, I set up a few goals against them, and I scored a couple of times against. Well, I scored against them as well, you know. But they're them games of this, you know. They're so unpredictable. They've just got everything. There's so much build up to them. Do you know, the week before your game finished on the Saturday, the whole build up was for the game on the Saturday. Do you know, after that, and the whole city's just on tenterhooks. Do you know, but that's just the way them games are. Do you know.
Yeah.
And they're always a pressure pot. Do you know, no matter. I've seen lads turn up, big players turn up at them games and just collapse. You know, but it's only to be expected because there's so much on them, do you know?
People
don't realise the amount of pressure that's actually on them games. Obviously, Millwall, West Ham, similar, do you know? But there's a different sort of scenario up there because there's politics and religion and football involved in them derbies.
Everything's involved in it.
There's a cocktail for everything up there. Yeah, there is indeed.
Well, talking of cocktails, do you remember, coming back to Millwall, the Russian mania at the Den with the arrival of the internationals Kolkov and Uran? It was greeted by the fans wearing their Shapka hats. Do you remember that with the 2 Russians?
Well, do you know what, vaguely, because it was just so strange, do you know, that time at the Den, do you know? And the players, most of us didn't even know what was going on, because in them days, as you know, there was no social media. You only heard what was told, you know, and then somebody would tell you something, and then it goes around the block once, and then there's another 3 or 4 chapters on it, you know. So it was just one of them things. But it was
you didn't get involved in any drinking sessions with them, did you?
Oh no, not at all, not at all. I stayed well away from them boys, definitely.
We had a certain other player, Tony Witter was with us at the time, but the day Tony turned from centre back to striker was at our last game in 95-96. You were an unused substitute at Ipswich, I think.
But I remember that clear as day as well. Yeah, that's right. Big Tony did go. Do you know? I'm glad you told me that, because I remember Big Tony did go up front that day, didn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we thought a drawing at Portman Road would be sufficient to remain in the second tier, but Portsmouth pulled off an incredible away win at Huddersfield and was relegated. I know how I felt that day, Anton, but can you describe how you felt?
On the way back on the bus, obviously it was the mood was very somber, because I don't think I think we were all expecting just to stay up, But as you say, that the results went the wrong way for us, and it was just a horrible feeling, And hopefully, I'm glad I never experienced something like that often.
Anton, Phil again.
Hello, Phil.
In your time there, that first season, there's a great bunch of players at the Den. Is there any player or any of the members of staff there that inspired you during that first season? And do you keep in touch with them?
Well, as I say, Reno, I just loved Reno. As a person, as a footballer,
top man.
He just done everything right. The boy,
Yeah.
And his passion for the club, was overwhelming. Sometimes it was just fantastic to watch. And you just look at him at every game, every training session. He just put it in. And as I say, if it was kids in them days, you ever wanted to look up to someone, you'd have to look at him.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of playing. He's about 2 years younger than me, so he was just behind me in the youth team, and I played with him, trained with him for a couple of years. Every single training session was like his last. Every game was like his last, and I'm amazed that the club have not got some sort of memorial to him, because 400 odd games and the absolute 100% he gave to that club, even coaching as the manager. Yeah, you're spot on, Anton.
I agree with you 100%. As I said earlier on, he was just as club men go, he's up there. He was just fantastic, and as I said, even only you could see the young lads when I was there. The young lads looking at him and thinking, "Oh, that he had a presence as well." Reno, he was never loud or boisterous, but he just had a presence, and you could feel it around.
Yeah, definitely.
And that sort of went through everybody, as you know yourself, if you played for him. It just he pushed it on everyone around him to do what he was doing. Obviously, a lot of people couldn't do what he was doing. But that's just the way it was.
Yeah, they couldn't tackle like him, that's for sure.
No, unbelievable. And as I say, I think so much of him, and I always have done. And as I say, I was lucky enough to play alongside him for a bit, so it was brilliant for me as well.
Brilliant.
So there you go, Anton. Rhino. There's not too many come on and give such an accreditation to him. I think they do, but they don't actually say it. That's the trouble.
No. Well, I'm glad I said it, because as I say, he's such a nice lad as well, and as I say, he was for the club. He was just the club for me, when I was there. It seemed to evolve around him, which was fair enough. And as he said, the lad said earlier on, they have to do something for him. They need some sort of monument there for him, even if it's a little plaque somewhere. They need to do it.
It'd be nice.
Yeah,
it'd be nice. We'll have to get onto the supporters club and see if they can get things doing. But they're not that active themselves. But never mind, we won't mention that anymore.
No.
Look, Anton, before I let you go, it's a tradition on the show for our guests to give a score prediction ahead of our next game. Yes. Which is at the Den on Saturday, when we entertain that other side of yours, Sunderland. Yeah. They've made an impressive start back in the Championship, and they defeated us to 3-0 at the Stadium of Light, as we conspired to let them off the hook continuously in the first half, to my utter distraction. How do you think it will finish on Saturday?
I'm going to be very conservative and go for a one-each draw.
Yeah, I've seen that repeated in a few places, actually. That's very, very sensitive of you, I think.
That was very predictable.
Yeah.
Very predictable as well. I think most people would have said he's going to say one each before he even said it anyway.
Yeah, so. We'll have some more of that later, without a doubt. No doubt
problem.
About it. Look, thanks, Anton, for coming on to the show. It's been brilliant to talk with you. Yeah. And I must say, it feels like only half time in our conversation. All our best to you, Nicky, and particularly for her technical achievements and your family. Hopefully we'll get you back for the second half in the not too distant future. We'd love you to come back on.
Eamonn, it's been a pleasure, and as I say, just whenever you want, just give me a buzz, and good night to all the lads, and thank you for your questions, boys. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Anton.
Yeah, they
cheers,
behaved
Anton.
themselves.
Great to talk to you, Ant.
Yeah.
Thank you, lads. Good night.
What a nice man. There you go. Bye, Anton. Take care.
Thank you, Eamonn. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye now. Bye. Anyhow, we'll take a break there and listen to what fantastic fanatics offer both us and the Millwall Community Trust.
Hi, I'm Richard Gordon, and I'd like to invite you to become a Fantastic Fanatic. Fantastic Fanatics is a great way to raise funds for your sports club. Sign up today, find your club, and securely register your everyday debit and credit cards. Every time you spend with our retail partners, they pay a percentage back to your club. It costs you nothing, and you can win cash prizes along the way. Visit fantasticfanatics.com and help your club be the best it can be.
I'm your host, Eamonn Barclay, and with me I have the No One Likes Us talking team of Dave Hart, Ted Robinson, yes, and that former Lion, Phil Coleman. If you want to get something in the continuing sales, they're going well into February now, before the economy shrinks further, I noted that today, why not spend through the Fantastic Fanatics site and give a bonus to the Millwall Community Trust? Help them deliver the very many activities that they do across all age groups in the community. Let's hear from Ellis Barr. Next.
Ellis here. Thank you for watching my videos. Now to hear what the Millwall Lionesses and Romans have been up to, and to hear who is next up for Gary Rowett and the Lions. Come on, Millwall.
I think we're clear about who's up next, Ellis. Anyway, keep us posted with your videos on what you're up to. We always enjoy them. Anyhow, we have news from Millwall Romans and Pride and Lionesses review and preview from Jeff Burnage. So let's start off with Jeff, when he featured on Maritime Radio on 95.6 FM on The Breakfast Show on Monday.
Maritime Radio, a bit of a local derby yesterday as Millwall Lionesses travelled to Princes Park Stadium in Dartford to face Dartford Women in the London and South East Regional League Cup. Jeff Burnage was there to watch proceedings and sent us this report.
This is Jeff Burnage reporting on Millwall Lionesses. It was another frustrating day for Millwall in the London and South East Regional League Cup tie with Dartford yesterday, when they went down to defeat 3-1 after extra time. This was a sad repeat of last season's match in the competition, when Millwall lost in the very last minute of extra time, and then the Darts went on to lift the trophy. The game started really well for the Lionesses when, after about 15 minutes, Otisha Charles cut in from the right and unleashed an unbelievable 30 to 35 yarder into the top corner to give the Lionesses a 1-0 lead. But it was very quickly after that former Lioness Shawnee Griffiths equalised when she was given too much time on the right-hand side of the box and finished well. Millwall and Dartford games are usually very competitive, local rivalry being a factor. Millwall had the better towards the end of normal time, when substitute Chloe Burr was very strong in midfield. Shannon Drew hit the bar, and then Angel Reid looked a good bet to hit the winner in the very last minute when put clear. However, in the first 2 minutes of extra time, Millwall made two catastrophic defensive mistakes, both punished by Paris Smith. The rest of the tie became even more physical, and the referee was hard-pressed to keep order. Millwall felt aggrieved by a couple of decisions for dissent, feeling they were punished very strongly. But in the end, the Darts held on to the victory quite comfortably.
A disappointing weekend. Thank you very much, Jeff. Well, Millwall's Lionesses have some games to rearrange, but currently there's no game scheduled for next weekend. However, Jeff will be back with us soon for another match report from their next fixture.
Well, we'll look forward to Jeff being back again for another report. That'll be nice. Music was good there, though. So that's very heavy going, losing that. They lost it last year to them. And Dartford went on and took the League Cup. Dave, that is 3 defeats on the spin for the Lionesses. FA Cup top of the table clash with Worthing and the League Cup. What are your thoughts?
Well, that trip to Dartford was always going to be, a hard game, and you've got to be under no misapprehension it was going to be that way. So for it to go to extra time again, it's and making mistakes in the extra time that you shoot yourself in the foot. I just think that the Lionesses now can just concentrate on the National League and getting a return there, and they've got a week off this week, so I'm sure that they'll get their act together and iron out the creases, and they'll kick on, and it'll be a good season.
Let's hope so. They did feature Emma Witter for the first time, who played up front for them. Some of you may be aware of Emma. She was a track star for Great Britain over short distances, and also played for the likes of Arsenal and Chelsea. She's a striker, so hopefully she'll get her striking boots on and get the Lionesses to kick on. Anyhow, next up we hear from Miles Thornton at St Paul's for his debut interview with Millwall Romans as they clashed with Titans. Here's Miles.
Hello everybody, Miles Thornton here, reporting from St Paul's Sports Ground in Salter Road, Rotherhithe, where Millwall Romans entertained the Titans in the league on Sunday afternoon. First up, I spoke with player-manager of the Millwall Romans, Rob Barr. Here is what he had to say. It's good to see you, mate. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, brilliant, thank you. You've come in as manager, and I believe you've won all the games that you've been in charge of.
So yeah, we're currently now 10 from 10. We've won 2 GFSN Cup games. We're now into the semi-finals of that. So yeah, it's been quite a good transition so far.
So what's up next for both Romans and Pride?
So Romans have one more game next week against Soho at Hackney Marshes, and the Pride team, I believe, are playing Charlton. We then got a 2-week break, and then we go again middle of February.
So today's result, 6-1 win, was it?
It was a 6-1 win, yeah.
Yep. How are you feeling about that?
I feel we played really well. We had a few people away this week with injuries and away and stuff. So yeah, I think we done really well.
Prediction for Millwall versus Sunderland?
Millwall to win 3-1.
Thank you, mate.
No worries.
Okay, I'm now with the leading goal scorer at Millwall Romans. Jay, how are you?
Good, thanks, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. How many goals have you scored this season?
This season so far in the league, got 11 goals after today's goal. I think I've got 3 or 4 in the cup. So, yeah, roughly about 15, 16.
How many did you score last season?
League goals last season, I think it was 17 or 18. Not sure how many got in the cup, but probably around 25 goals all comps last season.
Do you think you can beat it this season? Beat last season's record?
Yeah, I hope so. We didn't win the league last year. So I'd swap the top goal scorer for the league title. We've got a better team this year, so yeah, hopefully if we stay on track with the league, win the league with a better team, hopefully we'll get more goals than last year. Yeah.
So following their 6-1 victory here today, the Romans take on Soho up at the Hackney Marshes, and the Pride team, who didn't play today, take on Charlton.
Well, thanks, Miles. Yeah, the Romans sit top of the table with points in their bag against second place Charlton. Pride are down the other end, so you've got Millwall Romans at the top of the table and Millwall Pride at the bottom. At least we're holding all the rest together. Ted, what do you make of things in the Millwall Romans camp?
Well, first things first, Eamonn, I wish them all the best trying to find their pitch on Hackney Marshes, because that can be a bit trying. But listen, they need to have a word with our first team, I think, don't they? If they've had 10 wins on the spin, wouldn't that be lovely if we could achieve that in the Championship now? That'd be brilliant. But you can't ask for any more than that. They're scoring goals and they're keeping the goals against down. That's league-winning performances, isn't it? Week in, week out. So I think they just need to keep going. That's the thing, just managing to keep that standard up for the rest of the season, and I don't see any reason why not. And I think they're going to be the champions of their league.
Yeah, I reckon they're there. Anyhow, all the best to them, and let's hope the Lionesses recover from their losses and get back on track to make that return to National League. It's surely not beyond them, but I suppose the next few weeks will be telling. With 3,000 travelling Makems heading to South Bermondsey on Saturday, well, I do hope they don't have the trouble that's being predicted with the trains, with delays of up to 90 minutes on that line. But anyway, they've taken 3 points for us in December, and it makes Saturday's fixture looking likely to be as loud as it was when Sunderland were defeated in their relegation season at the Den, if not more. The Black Caps have added Everton's Joe Anderson to their defence on deadline day, and he could face us alongside Dan Ballard, who was on loan with us last season. Sunderland striker, sadly, Ross Stewart, has been ruled out for the season, and in a huge opportunity to Joe Gellar as he embarks on his half-season loan from Leeds United, and he is looking to boost Tony Mowbray's chance of reaching the playoffs. The impressive Flame football is considered more applicable to the Premiership. Post their impressive draw at Fulham in the FA Cup, one thing that was particularly noticeable that on both national radio and the Gary Lineker show was how much the pundits were raving about Sunderland. They were talking about the brand of football played and waxing lyrical about how many young and promising players are in the side. Dan Neil, Dan Ballard, Edouard Michou, Ahmad, Patrick Roberts, Anthony Patterson were all singled out for praise by reporters. The replay of that game is 3 days after the game at the Den on Saturday. Will the players have their eye on that one, or will they turn up and go for it against the Lions? If history plays a part, then the last 6 meetings with us playing at home, we have won 4 times, there have been 1 draw, and Sunderland have won once. The goal difference is 10-5 in our favour. The odds favour us as well. We're being quoted at 11-10 to win, a draw or an away win is at 12-5. Phil, what do you reckon?
Thanks, Eamon. Little point there. I've never played against Sunderland, and I've never been to Sunderland. So whenever Sunderland's mentioned, that's something that sticks with me. I will say that 3,000 fans and the top and the bottom tier open, that is going to be one hell of a great atmosphere down there, regardless of what happens. I'm hearing that most of the stands are sold out. So, it's going to be a big crowd. And they're going to get right behind Sunderland, make no bones about that, with 3,000 travelling fans. It's going to be a tough game, but then I keep going on about this league. There's no easy games in this league whatsoever. Sunderland are no different. They're creeping up the league. I picked up the other week, they had a 42,000 crowd at home. You just can't live with that. So they're going to get the funding in. They've obviously got talented young players. They've got a manager that knows exactly what he's doing. He's been there and seen it, Tony Mowbray. So it's going to be a tough game. I think the home atmosphere, I think that the home, being at home, will give us an edge. Not sure whether the new signings will play, because obviously there's a settling period and they're coming in from up north and so on. So be interesting to see if Gary Rowett plays the new players. Personally, I don't think he will. I think he'll go with what's tried and tested, but you never know. And so it's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a great atmosphere, and by the ticket sales, it looks as if everybody thinks like I do.
What would you put a prediction on it if you had to? Well,
I think Millwall's home form is solid. I think the atmosphere down there, the players respond to it. I'd go for a Millwall win. I think there's also, when you sign a couple of new players, there's a buzz about the change rooms, and it's a bit of a lift. So I'd probably say there's a 2-0, 2-1 win to Millwall. Sunderland might be able to play and score a goal, but I think there's a bit of solidity coming back into the team. So I'd go for the home win. And I'm not being like a Millwall fan there. I'm being a bit realistic. It's a home game for us. Great atmosphere, and the players will respond to the new signings coming in the door and that crowd getting behind them.
Yeah, we owe them one as well. Thanks, Phil. What do you think, Dave? What's your thoughts on it?
I hope Phil's right about the influence that these new signings is going to bring to the team. I think we've got quite a solid squad, and when there's a big crowd at the Den, it does seem to give the team a bit of an extra bite to them, and they get behind the team 100%, and both teams will be looking to play quite open football, I think. So it could be end-to-end stuff, and hopefully, we'll. I think we will. I think we will win, and it'll be probably 2-0. But I'm hoping it's going to be 3-0 to say thank you very much for when we was up your end.
Yeah, it'd be nice to repay the offering, wouldn't it? I think. What about you, Ted? You've watched Millwall play Sunderland many times now, haven't you? You haven't played up there, though. I know that.
No, I've not played. I'm like Phil. I've not played against them, but I've watched enough of them. But listen, I'll go back to that game in December. In the first half, like you said in the introduction of this, we should have been 2 or 3 up. Everybody's remembering Sunderland from their last game, which obviously was against Fulham, but that was the FA Cup. They raised themselves in a Premiership place. This is back to the bread and butter of the Championship, and I see no reason. I'm quietly confident against these because I thought if we'd have put our chances away, we possibly it could have been 3-0 to us up at Sunderland. The thing is in this division, like Phil quite rightly points out, that anybody can beat anybody. So that makes it even more important to get your noses in front because more often than not, if you get yourself in front, then you go on to win in this league. Or we certainly do, the way that we've been playing this year. We get ourselves in front and we don't give anything away easily, But Sunderland are a decent side. Yes, they can knock it about. Gelhard's a good player, the guy they've signed from Leeds. But obviously that's a huge blow to them losing Ross Stewart. Danny Ballard will have to be watched from corners because we all know what he can do. But I am quietly confident that, again, echoing a little bit of what Phil was saying, the new guys coming in, who incidentally I think are 2 very good signings, it gives us a bit more strength on the bench if things are not quite going our way. But I think we've got enough in us, and I think we all realise that we owe them one from December. And I can see us coming out as, I'll go with what Dave said first up, 2-0. I think we can have a 2-0 victory.
2-0 victory. Mind you, he did say 3 after that, Ted, Get
well, yeah, I mean, it'd be lovely, wouldn't it? It'd be nice. But like anything to do with this division, I find myself saying week in, week out, I don't really care as long as we win if we win by 1, I'll be happy because it makes such a difference with everything being so tight. Then 3 points to 1 point, Unfortunately, Luton nicked a goal the other night against Cardiff, and from 1 minute looking like they're just with us and they're thereabouts with us, they all of a sudden they're now 3 points in front of us.
Yeah,
it makes a huge difference that win. So let's hope there's one for us on Saturday.
Yeah, Stan would say it is what it is, and it isn't what it ain't. So I think you're right there, Ted. No doubt about that. No doubt about it. Okay, so we're all pretty positive about a win coming our way. I don't think we really need to say more than that. We just need to be shouting loud and be proud. So we'll take a break there and listen to Bethany Warren talking about how to sponsor or donate to the Millwall Community Trust.
The work of the Millwall Community Trust makes a big difference for people in Lewisham, Southwark and North Kent. Times are getting tougher, and to help them make a difference, you can help too, by making a donation. Give a one-off donation or a monthly amount. Your support is crucial in raising vital funds for their work, or by fundraising for them. If you are running, swimming, cycling, cooking, dancing, parachuting or anything else, why not do it for the Millwall Community Trust? Interested? Then either email inquiries@millwallcommunity.org.uk or phone 0207 740 0503. I'll say that again. Email inquiries@millwallcommunity.org.uk or phone 0207 740 0503. Thanks if you can.
I'm your host, Eamonn Barclay, and with me I have the No One Likes Us talking team, Dave Hart, Ted Robinson, and former Lion, Phil Coleman. If you can do any of those things that Bethany mentioned, it will go a long way to support the Millwall Community Trust in meeting the needs of the community. Our final guest tonight is a Sunderland and Millwall fan. It's not odd, because I know a couple of others. He joins us as fan in the dugout. I don't think I need to say welcome to the man from the northeast who claimed us to his footballing supporting habits, but I will say, hello Ian Gilling, lovely to have you here tonight.
Good evening, it's a pleasure to be on the show.
Hi Ian. Hi Ian.
Hello.
Yeah, well that's it. Dave's answered you, so you're all
Hi, Ian.
right.
Hello, Dave. Are you keeping all right, mate?
I'm great, mate. Yes.
Oh, good to hear.
That's
Hi, Ian. Phil Coleman here. Hope you're all well.
Aye.
Yeah.
Not so bad, mate. How's yourself?
Yeah, fine, thank you.
Oh,
Hi
good.
Ian. Hi Ian, it's Ted. I haven't understood one word you've said so far, but welcome to the show.
Good evening, Ted.
Yeah.
All right, mate. All right.
That could be deadly,
All
so
right.
something like that. Ian,
yeah,
it's not your first time on the show actually, but your past experience was quite a while back. Before I pass you over to the panel, can you tell me how you first came to follow both Sunderland and Millwall?
Well, I tell you what it was. Well, obviously, since I was a young boy, I've been a Sunderland fan. And Roker Park in my early days when I used to go. And what it was, we played Millwall at Roker Park. I can't remember the year, but we played Millwall at Roker Park. And I don't know if any of you has ever been to Roker Park when it was the big Roker Park before they knocked it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they used to put the Millwall fans, the away fans at the top. And I used to stand up there and I got chatting to a couple of the lads because there was no segregation. You only had a few police around them. And I got chatting to a few of the lads. And after that, for some reason or other, like, after Sunderland, I just started to look out for Millwall results, you know. I don't know what it was. After that game, I think it was round about 79, 1980 or something, when we played Millwall at Roker Park.
Yeah.
And I just used to look out for the results. And then when I got onto Twitter, a good friend of mine, which is a good friend of mine now, Johnny West and Mitchell Elliott. I got
Johnny West,
speaking to them on Twitter, and Johnny invited us down one day because he obviously used to drive the bus, Daisy.
Yeah.
And he invited us down into the executive lounge one day for a Millwall game. And he showed us around. I got a tour of the stadium. I met Neil Harris and all the likes of that. And we had a lovely day out. And I've just been coming down ever since, really. It's like, I can't get out to as many games as what I like, but I get out of a couple of games a season, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's
But it went back all them years, but see, there was no social media them days, so basically it's like if somebody's got a second team, like people up there you support, look out for Celtic and Rangers. Well, I look out for Millwall, you know, and
well,
that's where it was. And then when Johnny invited us down, and Mitch, it just went from there. So, and then I seem to get to know a lot more people as the years just went on, and just have a lovely day out.
How bad's that, eh? That's football for you, isn't it?
Evening, Ian. It's Dave here.
Hello, Dave.
You all right, mate?
Right, champion, mate. No bother. It's nearly Friday, and I've got the weekend off.
Oh, great. There's a few of us that you know do that. I mean, there's our mate Mick Johnson out in Malta, Mr. Kinney. He's a big fan of Millwall. Anyway, you've seen a lot of Millwall Sunderland games over the years. Which one's your most memorable game?
Oh, well, I think I've got to, even though Sunderland got beat, mate, I've got to go for the 2004 Cup semi-final. Sunderland got beat, but see, the thing is, Dave, with that, it was bittersweet sort of thing for me, because once I got over the disappointment of Sunderland losing, I was more than happy that Millwall were going to Wembley, you know, to play Manchester United. So, and apart from that, mate, well, see, when I've gone back to the Millwall games that I've watched, Dave, back to the years, I can't remember them, you know, like all them years back. Because we did go quite a long time before we actually played each other again, you know.
You should have gone in the pub before the games.
I remember that 2-2 when we were in League One and our both goalkeepers were man of the match. Can you remember that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was a
good
couple
games.
of
But I was the 2004 Cup semi-final for me, mate, really, basically.
Oh, yeah, I think I got along with that. It was a really great day. I know we won, but it was a fantastic day.
But I think, and although, Dave, apart from the result, I think the camaraderie between the Millwall fans and the Sunderland fans was absolutely fantastic that day, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. It's always great to go up to the Stadium of Light now. Well, I mean, Roker Park was a trip, but the Stadium of Light is quite a really good place to go. If ever you need to go there, I would recommend it every time. Go and watch a game there.
It's nice.
Yeah, it's I'm still going to have a pint with you up here, Dave, haven't I? I've been going to have a pint
Yeah,
with you.
we'll catch up on it. Don't worry, mate. Yeah.
We will the next time,
and all the rest of it.
Oh, I know. Wait, Dave, I was supposed to be down the den last Saturday, me and my daughter, but
yeah,
we had to duff it.
Yeah, never mind.
So did we.
Oh, you know, well, I was hoping that when Millwall got beat off Sheffield United, I was hoping Bournemouth were going to beat Burnley, so the game would have been on, but it didn't work out. So
no,
it's one of them things. We'll get out one of these days.
Certainly will.
Hi, Ian. Ted again, mate.
Hello, Ted.
All right, mate. I just thought myself, perhaps you should stop going in the pub before the games. You might remember them a bit better. But anyway, Mo, you're a man after my own heart, Ted. You're a man. I'll have to have a beer with you next time. Next season, if it is Millwall Sunderland, I'll come up to Sunderland and have a beer.
Oh, I definitely, mate, without a doubt.
That leads on to my question. It seems that both Rowett and Mowbray have built are having some success this season. Do you think that both or either can make the playoffs or even get promoted? What about a playoff final, Ian?
Well, I've just been talking to my daughter and that tonight and a boyfriend and that. And the ideal scenario for me is a Millwall Sunderland final.
Yeah.
And because whoever wins that, obviously I'd be disappointed if Sunderland got beat, but I'd be over the moon at the same time for Millwall to get promoted. So, and I honestly believe that both teams can actually get there this year, because this season for Sunderland, it's just been fantastic for us because we didn't expect to be where we are. And there were only one place behind Millwall and 1 point at the minute. And irrespective of the result of Saturday, whoever wins or if it's a draw, I still think both teams can make the playoffs. I think it'll be Middlesbrough third, Watford fourth, Millwall fifth, and Sunderland sixth. That's my prediction for the playoffs.
That sounds great to me, Ian. I've got to be honest. And I'll tell you what,
I hope I'm right, mate. But like I say, if we both get there, I'm hoping for the Millwall Sunderland final, so at least one of us get the opportunity to get to the Premier League.
Well, I'll tell you what, Ian, mate. If Millwall do go, it gets to that final and it's Millwall that wins it. When we go to Newcastle next year, you can come along as an honorary Lion.
All right. Well, as long as you beat them by about 3 or 4-0, mind.
Oh yeah, I'll dream of that day, mate. I'll dream.
Because I'll go out and party all weekend if you beat that lot. They're not
Ian, Phil here.
People.
Phil here.
Hello, mate.
Hiya.
Hello, Phil. All right?
Yes, thank you. Great, thanks. You got both teams here that you're talking about have got some talent. When you look at those squads, what player impresses you most for Millwall and one for Sunderland?
Right, the one that impresses me most for Millwall is probably Zane Fleming, because I think on Saturday he's going to be one that the Sunderland defence is going to have to look out for, and we haven't got to give any stupid free kicks outside the box or set pieces, because I've seen a weekend of the ball and apparently he's scored more goals from set pieces than any other player in the league this season, hasn't he?
Yeah.
So Fleming, I think Fleming, for you, that impresses us, and for us, it's got to be Amad Diallo. the kid we've got on loan from Manchester United. It's just been phenomenal for us since he's come in this season. So,
what does he bring to the Sunderland team, Ian? Is he a striker? I don't know him.
No, he's more of a winger.
Right.
But what they've been doing, they've been playing him down the wing with Patrick Roberts and the last few games, and I don't know if any of you have watched the highlights when we played Fulham last week, but they absolutely tortured Fulham. We didn't win that game by 3 or 4 goals, I'll never know. Because Dalio's just on fire at the minute, so whoever's playing left back, I don't know, because I think Callum Stiles is injured, so it might be Murray Wallace playing left back on Saturday.
Yeah.
If Dalio's got pace against Murray Wallace, that's frightened me already.
Oh, Dalio is tremendous. But the thing is about this team, mate, I kind of just pick one that impresses us because at the minute, they're on fire. The counter-attacking football that Sunderland's playing at the minute is frightening. But obviously, we've got to be wary because Millwall players a big threat not just from Fleming. You've got Bradshaw, and I tell you what, mind you, they've got a cracking signing in Duncan Watmore. If you can keep Duncan Watmore fit, mind, it'll be a good addition for Millwall.
Let's hope so.
Good to hear.
Do you think he'll score, Ian Watmore, on Saturday? I mean, because he's a ex-Sunderland player. Because I hate I'm worried about Daniel Ballard on keep saying Sundays on Saturday.
What's going on Sunday then, Ted?
I'm looking at Sunderland and saying Sunday. Sorry.
Oh right, okay.
I'm worried about Daniel Ballard coming back and maybe scoring against us because more often than not, players that have played for us do that. So you see a lot of Watmore and you rate him up quite highly, Ian?
Yes, I do. We did that. He's very highly thought of at Sunderland. Obviously, when he come back to Sunderland a couple of weeks ago with Middlesbrough, he got a lovely reception, obviously, because he come back with a local team. But I'm sure the Sunderland fans will give him a nice reception down at Millwall on Saturday. But George Honeyman worries me and all mine because he can pop up with a goal or two, George, and I'm sure he'd like nothing better than to score against us on Saturday in all mind. That's if he's playing. Because George Honeyman, when he went to Millwall, I thought he's got a cracking signing there because he's another one, when he was at Sunderland, very highly thought of. He was a cracking little player for us, you know. But I think he's in and out the team at Millwall at the minute, isn't he? But Duncan Watmore, in fact, I'm hoping that he doesn't get a game, to be honest with you, because the writing's on the wall, like you've just said about Dan Ballard. The writing's on the wall for him to bang the winner in, isn't it?
It could well be.
Wait and see, but you know what? It's going to be a cracking game, mate, because it's going to be a full house down there. We've got 2,800 fans coming down, so it'll be a noisy afternoon, and it's got the potential to be a blinder of a game. I'm looking forward to it. I'm just watching it.
We hope those trains don't stymie the fans because there's some work going on. I see on the train.
Oh, well, I hope not because I know there's quite a lot of Sunderland fans that are coming down on the trains on Saturday and all. There'll be quite a few on buses and minibuses, but there is quite a lot coming down on the trains and all lower.
Yeah,
but I'm looking forward to it now. Like couple of beers watching it and kind of going round camera. So
what do you reckon?
After Saturday, mate.
What do you reckon the score's going to be, Ian?
Well, I'm sitting on the fence. I'm going ones each.
Oh yeah, you and Anton Rogan, eh? God blimey. Fancy that.
I'm going ones each.
Yeah.
I'm going for. Well, the thing is, I'm going to go for Fleming.
Yeah.
To score for Millwall, and Patrick Roberts to score for Sunderland.
Okay, we might put our money on that.
That's going to be me bet.
That's pretty.
Yeah.
That
so
sounds
ones
pretty
each.
good. Ones
and
each.
Then after that, Sunderland and Millwall's going to remain unbeaten for the rest of the season and get to the playoff final.
Fantastic.
That's my prediction.
Absolutely fantastic. Fantastic, Ian. Hey, Ian, thanks for joining us this evening. All the best to you
pleasure.
And your family. And I hope we'll hear from you once again down the line. But for now, we're all going to say bye, Ian. And
bye. All the best for the rest of the season to you, lads. See you at Wembley.
Yeah,
See you later. Take care. Bye.
Bye,
Cheers, mate.
bye, bye, bye,
Bye.
bye. Well, that was nice, Ian Gilling. Well, there you go. Anyhow, we'll take a break there and listen to Debbie Julins and Harvey Brown talking about the Lions Food Hub.
Let's hear from Harvey Brown.
Have you heard of the Lions Food Hub? That Millwall Lioness, Kelly Webster, is involved. Don't forget to help the Lions Food Hub if you can. Thank you.
As Harvey said, they need your support. If you can help, and you can make a one-off or a regular monetary donation at Banquet, that is BANKUET, you will find them online. Insert www.banquet.co.uk/Lions Food Hub into your browser. I'll say that again, www.banquet.co.uk/Lions Food Hub. And the Lions Food Hub is all one word. On match days, you can make food and toiletry donations at the Lions Food Hub, which is opposite the 1885 bar at the Coldblow Lane end of the ground. Alternatively, you can also contact the team via the Lions Food Hub Twitter or Facebook sites.
Did you notice we've got... I said that a bit early there, but did you notice we've got new lions roaring? That's... We had to get rid of the last couple. Anyhow, I'm your host, Eamonn Barclay, and with me I have the No One Likes Us talking team of Dave Hart, Ted Robinson and former Lion Phil Coleman. It was 2 years last week when the Lions Food Hub came into being, which for me is a bittersweet celebration. Did we really foresee food hubs becoming a permanent fixture in the 21st century? Nonetheless, Kelly and Ellen Webster and all the Lions Food Hubster team, their sponsors and those that donate are making such a difference in supporting those that are at risk. And as I said earlier, with recession going to bite further, can we help them? If you can, as the country heads into that further recession, they'd really appreciate it. Well, we're all looking forward to when Saturday comes and that game against Sunderland. But in the meantime, here are a few matters of interest for Millwall fans.
On Saturday, we will see the club hold its annual Memorial Day. I'll say that again, Memorial game. This will see the Lions honour all supporters who sadly lost their lives in 2022 by way of a minute's applause. Plus, their name will show on the big screen. The list of names will also be available to view in Millwall's match pack and on the Lions official Twitter account at Millwall FC. On the day, additionally, the fan-produced Millwall Matchday programme will also have a section remembering those who have passed away in 2022. Don't forget, have your pound calls ready to buy one.
Next Friday, Bethany makes her debut as host with a panel of Miles, Stan and Debbie. There will be a couple of guests and a review of this weekend's game and what is coming up. Additionally, and I'm calling all Dockers out there, Dockers Day will return for the first time since 2019 for our game against Huddersfield Town at the Den on Saturday, the 18th of March. I'll be there with my teammates of the FA Youth Cup winning side of 78-79 season to meet and greet the Dockers. Chris Bethel is once again the organiser, and he's looking for former Dockers from the London Docks who had a great tradition in following Millwall and asking them to come along as guests on the day. If you know someone who was, or if you were a Docker, please contact Chris by email. His email is Beths, BETHES16 @hotmail.com. That's Beths16 @hotmail.com. Or if you want to contact him on Facebook, go and send him a message via Messenger.
You heard from our sponsored Lionesses, Jade, Keogh and Grace Seeley at the beginning of the show. So why not sponsor a Lionesses kit like us to help them get back to where they belong? If you're in an organisation, you can get a fantastic exposure opportunities for your businesses. Just like Victoria goalkeeper gloves, Andy Roffery, Impetus Women's Football, Megan, Jay and Lola Baxter, Gianluca Sardi, and as mentioned, ourselves. On top of seeing your name on the club website, you will be able to enjoy a range of benefits. A signed shirt, meet your sponsored player, free invitations to a VIP sponsor day, a free season ticket to all home games, and a presentation photo. Kit sponsorship is priced at £160 plus VAT. To purchase, get in touch with the Lionesses by emailing Kelly Webster on, I knew this was coming, kwebster@millwallcommunity.org.uk. I'll say that again. It's kwebster@millwallcommunity.org.uk.
Well done, Ted. Now, look, there's a fundraising night in aid of the Mizzen Foundation on Saturday, and it starts at 6 p.m. So that's after the game against Sunderland. And the Mizzen Foundation, if you don't know, promote the good in young people. What will be live at the Wheel Shunters, which is just down Hornshay Street off Ilderton Road, is the Molotovs. And if any of you have been to where the blue bus is, you'll quite frequently see the Molotovs giving their all and playing their trio group. There's one guy and two girls, and they're very, very good. So you can see them live on the stage. Young, explosive power pop trio. Anyhow, there are some tickets left, and you can get those tickets in advance, perhaps. The Wheel Shunters opens at 11 a.m. on Saturday. So if you go into the Wheel Shunters and the tickets are behind the bar, you'll be able to purchase one. There's not many. It's a little bit like the game. There's but a few, but there's not many. But they're £10 each. Promises to be a lovely evening. There's a raffle. There's some Millwall memorabilia signed, all done, and some other interesting pieces. So between the set sounds from Hit the Decks, DJ Marky D, Saturday the 4th, Wheel Shunters Social Club, 1 Hornshay Street, off Ilderton Road. Main doors open from 6 p.m. But go there in the morning before you go to the den and make sure you get a ticket. And I'm sure Terry Reese, who is the organiser, will be absolutely delighted if we can manage to sell that out and make some good money for the Mizzen Foundation. Right. Don't forget, you'll be able to listen to the No One Likes Us Talking team, bringing reports from our games, both home and away, for both the Lions and Lionesses, with Miles Thornton and Jeff Burnage. And that will be on Maritime Radio, broadcasting on 96.5 FM. Additionally, you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Reddit, Tumblr and Twitter social media sites, and all popular podcast sites. Thanks and good night, Dave.
Good night, all.
Thanks and good night, Ted.
Good night, all.
And thanks and good night, Phil.
Good night. And Eamonn, can I just say, on behalf of all of us, our thoughts go out to all those that have lost their loved ones this year at the Den. And I'm sure that'll be an emotional Memorial Day as per normal.
I'm certain it will. Finally, let's not forget to keep it safe on the streets out there. Good night and many thanks for listening to the No One Likes Us Talking team.